Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Chris from CCA California, and we have a very special guest today. We've got one of my favorite people of all time, Captain Jim Hughes from the Cortez. How are you, Rambo?
Good. Everything's all good. Hello, everybody in Facebook land.
Awesome, man. What as we kind of wait for people to roll right into here, what have you been up to during the off season, during quarantine? What have you been up to?
We don't really have an off season. We just switch into mode and running the whale watch boat out of Seaforth, and then doing some maintenance on the Royal Polaris and helping Alliard with that Supreme, getting that all ship shape. It's over at Seaforth now, so we run that Polaris Supreme out of our landing, out of Seaforth, and we're staying busy. We're staying busy.
For
doing
sure.
some boat work on my boat, so rotating between the three boats.
You know, I'm not sure if there's a busier man out there other than yourself, my friend. I swear, every time I talk to you, you're on one boat or the other, or running a different boat, or doing boat work, or down south or whatever. You're a busy man.
We like to keep it that way. Well, I don't like to be standing in one place for too long.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I know you pretty well, but I know some people may not. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of give us the story of Jim Hughes.
Well, basically, we started down here at Seaforth, and I think we found a paycheck stub from 1968 when I started, and I've been there pretty much ever since. I did a 10-year stint in commercial fishing on the big purse seiners, off in the summertime so we could fish albacore here, but always got back on another boat, and we fished all out of Panama, Puerto Rico, fished the west coast of Africa, and then I've been bought into to Seaforth many years ago, and finally we sold out of Seaforth and bought the Cortez, and we've been there for since 1996, running that, and build up our charter business, and we work on a Royal in the wintertime, long range trips, and this year with the COVID thing, everybody's a little bit slower, so we've been doing a little maintenance on everything, trying to keep the fleet in good health.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you kind of mentioned it there, the Cortez. I know I've been fortunate to fish with you a couple different times now, but Cortez mainly a charter boat, right? Not too many open party there.
I get to run one or two, maybe three a year, maybe. Yeah, we're 99% charters, and a lot of repeat customers, guys that have been with me for some of them since I've had the boat, and we get new groups coming in, a couple new ones every year, sort of fill in the gaps where our older groups are getting older and stuff. So like that, this COVID thing put a little bit of a hit on everybody this year, so we lowered our passenger loads, but thank God everybody got our summer in,
Yeah, excellent. We're getting a couple comments here. Mark says, "What's an albacore?" I know, right?
There's a lot of guys in this fleet that are driving boats that haven't seen an albacore, but everything's changing. I've mentioned this last year, especially, is years ago, all of that stuff around Guadalupe was bluefin tuna. It switched over to yellowfin tuna, and this albacore usually, they start catching them up there, Northern California, late July, early August. But these last couple of years, they're starting to catch them in June. So are we missing it out here? We're not getting out there early enough. Is this bluefin thing just throwing us way out of whack and way out of kilter because everybody's hunting that once in a lifetime fish? We're not getting out there in that deeper water, where we start getting on the fish. I mean, there was one albacore. I think the XL caught an albacore this year, down below us. So who knows? I mean, this year was really weird because the commercial guys got up there early this year, and they were catching them in June, and it went all the way up through there. So No,
It's
we'll watch what we call this line that comes across the Pacific Ocean, and it dropped really low this year, so we're hoping we'll like to see the little things, the penguins.
yeah, no kidding. You kind of made a comment there earlier. A lot of guys, my age and below, I mean, haven't even caught an albacore, haven't even sniffed an albacore, and it'll be interesting when you see all these young guys who haven't even caught one or seen one, or especially within the last 15 years or so, just trying to kind of react and trying to fish them. That'll be interesting, I bet.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When them things come to the corner, it's something to really, really watch. It's fun. I mean, we'll have to take baseball bats and beat the people off the boat. I mean, this.
Oh, too funny. Blake's joining us. Blake says Rambo. Yeah.
Hey,
For those
Blake.
of you, yeah. For those of you joining us, if you have a question for Rambo or about CCA in general, make sure you drop them in the comment below. We'd love to answer them there. Carrie is chiming in. Carrie says, "An amazing summer it was." Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, the variety of fish that was around, and the fish from all the way outside Colonette all the way up here to Santa Barbara Island. I mean, there was the guys from Newport could get to them, the guys from Oceanside, San Diego, and there was variety from Dorado to yellowfin tuna, bluefin tuna. Of course, they were the main focus for a lot of guys. A lot of that big fish around. This, and I see a repeat performance this year. I mean, that fish never left. I was talking to Roy. He just came up on his last trip about a week ago, and they saw big breezers, that big fish down below there, and same thing with that 30, 40-pound fish. So it hasn't left. It didn't swim back across the Pacific. It is still here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We were just talking to Ken Frankie last week. He said the spotter plane just came across a whole bunch of fish between the 29 block and the 31 block, all in between, just completely filled, chock full of fish.
Yes, the pattern's full. The pattern is full. The commercial guys, they started off January 1st. I think they're all pretty much done by at least the middle of February. Done. That means all the pin boats you see, all them pins were full of that good grade fish, and that just shows you the amount that's still here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of summers, how was your summer on the boat? I know, I saw a bunch of big fish, bunch of schoolie fish on your boat. How was your summer?
It was very, very good. Very happy for all the people that came out with us. It was quite the variety. Some of the groups wanted to just go down and catch some of that yellowfin tuna and Dorado and some yellowtail. Other groups want to concentrate mostly on that bigger fish, take their chances with that. There was yellowtail to be caught out there on the Cortez bank, on the Tanner bank at San Clemente Island. So there was a good variety of fishing to be had, and you could pick a direction and go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but I know my family's got a charter with you on the Cortez every year, and not trying to give away any spots or anything, but I know for the first time in a long time, we actually went up north towards Santa Barbara Island and towards Catalina
Yep.
for bluefin tuna. It's
Yep.
unreal.
Yeah. Well, that fish was up there. It was up there on the backside of Catalina for heck a couple 3 weeks there, and that was some fun fishing. It straight up, nice weather, hiding behind the islands if you could, but thank God this summer most of the time was very, very good weather. And the fishing was, like I said, you could go point the boat in any direction. Chances are you're going to stumble on some good fish.
That's fantastic. That's great news. And Carrie actually has another question. Can you describe ways to catch an albacore and how they fight versus a yellowfin or a bluefin?
Well, albacore fishing it's usually a little bit cooler water. I personally like fishing them with anchovies. Just slide. We troll jigs, usually feathers, and you'll see the fish. Sometimes you'll see them jumping around, but a lot of the times you don't even see the fish. All of a sudden, you get a jig strike, and a lot of times you get a jig strike in the area. You'll fish that stuff. They come up, they bite for a little bit, and then you make a 5-minute box and come right back. And 9 times out of 10, you'll get bit almost exactly in the same spot. And these fish go up and down. They only spend about, I think it was less than 10% of their feeding time in the upper water column. So they got a little bit bigger eyes. And I mean, some of the albacore, when they spit up crabs. I mean, spider crabs and stuff. Those fish feed on the bottom, and they'll come up and feed up on the surface a little bit. So it's as far as fighting fish, I put them right in there with yellowfin tuna. They pull back because a lot of fish is a different grade. But most of the time you can wind them in. They got a little bit of softer mouth. So we tell the guys to pull a little bit easier on them. But most of the time you can wind them things up. We fish them with 20 to 25 pound line. But when they really want to bite, it's use rope, chain. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can flat put the wood to them things.
Oh, so true. So true. I think the last time I caught an albacore, I was all of maybe 10 years old, 12 years old, very, very young. And, it's almost like I've heard stories where you can just throw anything out there, rope, chain, a bear hook, anything, they'll bite it.
Yeah, absolutely. We had, I remember, it was a good story. We had a kid fishing a plastic bubble, one of those plastic bubbles you fill with a little bit of water in them. He was probably 12 years old. He came out when the albacore were biting, and he fished a slide. And as soon as we get a jig strike, he'd cast that bubble out there with an anchovy on it or a small sardine. He was the first one bit every single time. So we started getting the guys. I started buying the bubbles and telling these guys to fish the slide. And boy, it really helps you get 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 of those fish going at one time. That school will stay there.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
it was nothing to have 300 fish stops.
Oh, I can't wait, man. I seriously cannot wait. Mike McCloskey's chiming in. Just recall the 120-mile trips to the dumper and airplane. It was a long haul sometimes. The bluefin tuna in U.S. waters is nuts. We waited till July 4th. I bet Rambo remembers. Blow off your fireworks, then get your tuna.
That's right. That's the way it used to be. Is you July 4th, and you take off. And that's all you did is you fished albacore, and you fished it all the way until Labor Day. And then Labor Day, you shut it down, did some boat work, then you start fishing the islands, fishing yellowtail and the sea bass. But that's the way most of the fleet ran for years and years and years. And then and some of the guys would go up there in Morro Bay after that and fish the albacore commercially.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're absolutely right. Where you had that typical schedule, Memorial Day and Labor Day, that was basically your season. But now the season never ends right about now. I mean, you can go almost 12 years, 12 months a year, and go fishing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, right now, if the weather wasn't up on the outside or down below, I'm sure we would have caught bluefin every month, every single month. I know the long range guys have, they caught it in the last couple of months because they've been down there. But as far as this 1 day, 2 day, 3 day fleet, yeah, they could still be fishing them. Right now we got the rockfish closure right now until the 1st of March. So a lot of these guys are fishing down there, Colonette and San Jose and that area. So that way, if that bluefin doesn't bite when they get down there or whatever, they can, a little bail out on the yellowtail and the rockfish. So that's the way that's working out. I think come March 1st, you're going to see these guys start spreading out and get up here close to the island. David's fishing lobster at Cortez Bay, and he sees those 20, 30 pound, 40 pound bluefin jumping every time he's been out there.
Oh boy. Todd from TB Metal Art is chiming in. Ghost Rider, the pattern is full. Yep, absolutely. Davey Brown is chiming in. How's it going, Davey? He's asking, do you troll tight to the stern?
We will troll it at we call one way. Depends on what it is. There's an old saying, albacore fishing, you can't troll too slow. That means you can troll as slow as you can, and it's a better chance you can get a bite. When we're trying to cover area, you're going to troll faster. You're going to have the lines back farther. Usually I'm like at 2 boat lengths at the farthest. Usually a boat length and a half, though, 2 boat lengths when we're trying to get somewhere or cover some ground.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Carrie's asking, I'm assuming albacore, can you catch them on a drift?
Oh, absolutely. We've had some 5, 6, 7 hour drifts. They just bite and bite and bite. That's in the days when there was no limit. There's a limit now. I remember. I remember the days when you didn't have a limit.
It's almost kind of like, I mean, I guess the most comparable comparison is basically yellowfin tuna when it's wide open and it's almost all, all you want there.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, absolutely. It gets yellowfin tuna. We call them brown in the corner when they're biting good. With the albacore, we call it black in the corner because that's what they are, a bunch of black. You look down in the water, it looks like a bunch of penguins swimming around, big long fins and stuff.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Mark says, Alba, what? Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, we all know all about that album. What?
Yeah. uh, Todd wants to know, in all your years of fishing, have you found the quality of fish to be the same?
Well, they say the old days, the old days, the old days. This is the good days right now. This quality, this bluefin, and its biting is fantastic. The yellowtail on some of these kelps early in the spring and stuff like that, 20-pound grade, 30-pound grade. The yellowtail we've seen up at Clemente has been Guadalupe grade. I mean, 30-pound fish, not unusual at all. And catching plenty of it, 20, 25, 30-pound fish. No, the quality of fish has been fantastic, especially the last 5, 6, 7 years. Now, yellowfin's been a little bit smaller down below because the commercial fleet's been hitting it pretty hard, fishing the beach fish. But look at this year, last 2 years, we've had that 40, 50-pound yellowfin up here around the banks and up here around the island and up inside the island. Some very good grade yellowfin tuna this especially this last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, trolling and going down all the way down to maybe the 425 and even day range where we were catching 20, 30, even 40-pound yellowfin tuna, which is a first for me.
Yeah, no, it's the quality of the fish has been fine. There's no lack of quality of fish. No lack.
Yeah. Yep. Elizabeth wants to know, what's the weirdest thing you have found in the belly of a tuna?
I think the weirdest thing I have seen is boxfish. Boxfish, especially down there around Hurricane Bank and stuff like that. They look like a square box with a tail, and they got two horns sticking up there off their head, and they're only about an inch and a half square. It looks like a giant ice cube with a tail on it. And then those tuna are loaded with them, and they basically have no nutritional value. They're 99% water.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, you see them down there at Hurricane Bank a lot. They love them boxfish for some reason. There must be millions of them down there.
Very cool. Sula is joining us. What's going on, Sula? Hope you're doing well. Do you think we'll see evidence of bluefin breeding in our waters this year?
God, I certainly hope so. Boy, that would put a big relief on this Eastern Pacific stock. We've been told over the years, hey, you got to find a fish that's under 9 pounds. That proves that it didn't swim over from Japan or from the Central Pacific. Then it went down to 7 pounds. Now it's got to be a fish way under 7 pounds. We've turned in a lot of the gonads and the breeding of a lot of big fish here that have been caught in San Diego. They've got them from the processors and stuff like that, and none of them has showed any sign of breeding. Yet we're catching some smaller bluefin, so they're coming from somewhere. Doesn't mean they're not breeding here. We just haven't caught those fish. Now, we're fishing, or it's not like the East Coast where they're fishing 300 feet of water and goes out 100 miles. Here, we go out a mile and a half, and it's 2.5 miles deep. So have we hooked some of these fish? Possibly. These 600-700 pounders, 800 pounders? Absolutely. Guys say, oh man, I lost all the line up to 50 wide in 5 seconds. Those could be the breeding stock. But we are catching some smaller ones. And when I really put it out on the radio too. So we find one that's under 7 pounds, we'll give the guy a free fishing trip. But we need that fish scientifically. So all you out there, if you guys catch a fish under 7 pounds and it's a bluefin, let's get that thing in there, because that could possibly take away the 2 fish limit if we can prove they're breeding here.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Edie is chiming in. Edie, remember Rambo? We are used to load those things up in one-stop shopping.
That's right. Fishing those albacore and stuff like that. He's been with me for many, many, many years. He's seen some good albacore fishing and some good fishing all the way around. And he's one of our charter masters. He takes 5 2.5-day trips a year. So he spends a lot of time out there. Plus, he's got his own boat and stuff. He fishes that sea bass up there in Catalina. He's a good fisherman, along with a lot of guys in his group.
That's awesome. John chiming in. Take no prisoners. Absolutely. Yes. Todd wants to know, was Albie fishing back then like broomsticks yanking and throwing them on the boats?
It was exactly like that. You got into a stop and it was as good as you get. You could grab anybody's rod, help them hook in hand. It didn't take much. Pull off 5 feet of line, put it bait in the water, and I mean, that's what we call black on the corner. I mean, they will bite everything in the water.
Yep. Jason Johnson, JJ, wants to know, or says, one of the best fishermen I know. I have learned a lot of what I know now from Rambo.
JJ was one of my crew members. Picked him up from Dana Point when we had the boat up there. He worked with me for a couple of years. I think he lives back in Wisconsin now. He gets into that good lake fishing. But JJ, yeah, he was a good kid. He worked hard. Well, I shouldn't say kid, man. The kid's gigantic.
So. Elizabeth wants to know, is that your finger? I'm assuming so.
I guess. Where's it supposed to be?
Yeah.
Could be my finger.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Andrew wants to know, does that fish under 7 pounds need to be alive for scientists?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We just need it because they say a 7-pound fish did not swim here from the Western Pacific over here to the Eastern Pacific. So that's the main thing. If we can prove they're breeding over here, that there's an actual breeding on the Eastern Pacific, we're in there.
Excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Cortez. I know, I fished it before, but I know, we also have a couple of your regulars here. Tell us a little bit about the boat.
It's a 60-footer. We got our accommodations, especially because of this year. We limited our groups this year to 16 people. We have a full galley where we can, pretty much sit everybody. We got, we put on new bait tanks 3 years ago. We built a big 3 round bait tanks. Plus we got 2 slammers. We have plenty bait capacity. We have John Deere engines for our main propulsion and generator. We got all the electronics you can imagine. It looks like the Mad Jacks of sport fishing on the roof there. But excuse me, we can cover just about any kind of ground we need to. We run mostly day and a half, 2.5, and some 3.5-day charters. That's mostly what our foundation is built on. We like to leave early. If the fish is farther away, we can be there in the morning. We like to give our customers full days of fishing as opposed to, we got to cut out by 11 o'clock because we're too far down here, So I think we were one of the first boats to run day and a half trips when we brought the boat down to San Diego. And I had a lot of guys going, oh, you're wasting time, wasting money, you're losing days and this, that, and the other. The fuel economy was a difference. The crew gets to get off the boat for a half a day or whatever, go do their thing, do their laundry and stuff. We can do the shopping. So we make sure we have all fresh food and stuff. So we like to keep everything up, and that's mostly what our schedule's been. It's been very, very good to us, and we're going to keep it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speaking as, one of your charter customers, actually, your boat is top notch for sure. I mean, you really run, for lack of a better phrase, a tight ship, and, it's a well-maintained program. And also, your crew is fantastic year after year after year. Well, you don't really have too much turnover at all.
No, we try to keep up on it, and the crew. I always say we work as a team. They never, you get on this news. I'm not so much into social media and stuff like that. I mean, but I see that when they post something, they never say, "Oh, the captain was good and the crew was crappy," or vice versa. So I always say, "Hey, we work together as a team." I don't stay in a wheelhouse. I'm down there on deck with the guys, and I expect them. I say, "Oh, I want them pressing the flesh with the customers. Help them out as much as possible. Whatever questions they can answer." We got all our groups have been with us for so long. It's their family. Just like you guys. With your dad's group and stuff, and you, it's all family now. And
Yeah.
that's the way I treat it.
Oh, absolutely. We definitely feel like family for sure. Kurt Shaw says, "Hello, Rambo."
Hi, Kurt. How you doing, buddy?
Brian
He's my
Nguyen, what's
County
going on,
Eagle.
man? Brian says, "Hi, Rambo. Guy on the left of my picture is a great captain. Know him?" I think that's a picture of you, actually.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. Mark's chiming in. Mark says, "Oh yeah, we motored 170 miles down on the Cortez, a day and a half to get to the Elephant. Limits in a couple hours."
There was times where we had to go. You had to go, but it was worth the stop. You just go and go and go, and you get that one stop. I I would tell everybody when that albacore was really biting up there off Diablo Canyon. I was running a Polaris Deluxe on 3-day trips, and we'd only from San Diego we get 4 hours of fishing time, but that was enough for a 3-day trip.
That's
We'd run
unreal.
that far. Go where you got to go.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I can definitely tell you from experience, when it's time to go, your time to go. I remember on a 2-day trip, I think last year actually, I think we may have left at 5 p.m. on a 2-day trip just to get
Yeah.
to, SBI.
Yep. That's what we do. Hey, well, we do. As soon as we can get out of there, we get out of there and go. It's even if the fish are closer, then we're not burning as much fuel and so forth, or it gives us a chance to go to the island and catch some bait if we need it. So we like leaving early and then and get the people their 2 full days of fishing time, especially with this bluefin. Now it's 24 hours of fishing time because you're fishing things night time, daytime, early in the morning.
Yeah, well, let's kind of talk about that there. I know with a lot of these other boats, I haven't seen it on your boat yet, but a lot of these other boats are actually leaving 10, 11 o'clock in the morning to get a full nights of fishing as well out
Yeah.
at the island too.
Yeah, that day and 3/4 day thing, So as soon as they get out there, it's right before dusk or it's right at dark. And a lot of that fish this year, I noticed a lot of that fish bit from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning. So I give them a good opportunity to fish then. Plus they get to fish all that day and then even fish that next night and then still get back in there for 6 or 7 o'clock, back at the dock. So yeah, that day and 3/4 day worked out for a couple boats very, very well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Elizabeth says Rambo takes better care of his crew than any captain I have ever worked with. He sets the bar.
I don't know if I set the bar, but I like my crew. We got to work together. And again, talking about the family part, I respect my crew a lot and I expect them to do work. And I always tell them, I'll give them 150%. They give me 150%, and it works out well. And I've been very fortunate with the crews we've had since I've had the boat. So.
That's great. That's awesome. Jules says, "Let me know if you ever need a relief cook this summer."
You got it, Jules.
Yeah. Angela Smith says, "What changes do you foresee happening in the San Diego sport fishing industry in the future?"
Wow. That's
Not to put you on the spot.
Hopefully none. But the state regulations and these things they're trying to pass with, especially this 30 by 30 thing, that could hurt a lot of us. And the bait situation might be an issue. Not that there's not plenty of bait around, but you have a lot of environmental issues with the bait. They think there's less, so they want more of a count every year. I know there's 5-year classes of anchovy off the coast right now, and a couple 3-year year classes of sardines. But we're in a southern stock, but what's getting pummeled up there in the northern stock, they want to incorporate it all. And so I think the bait issue will probably be the biggest thing we have to face here.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I know Zach and Ken Frankie and his team works year after year after year because live bait's always threatened for us to use in the sport fishing business. So, definitely kudos to all those guys working hard.
Oh, absolutely. Ken needs to have just trophies thrown at him for the work that he's done and what Zach has done. This whole, especially Southern California, Santa Barbara and down, it's a live bait fishery. And boy, if we didn't have bait to fish with, it would hurt. I mean, we'd survive somehow, some way, but it would be hard. There'd be a lot less boats and a lot less opportunities.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Kent wants to know, how much longer are the bluefin tuna going to be here? Do you have a crystal ball there?
No, I missed it. I think I broke it yesterday or something. No, I have no idea. It shows no sign of leaving. This stuff started biting 8 years ago, and it's gotten better and better and better and better. Years and years and years ago, we'd see schools like this. We wouldn't even stop because they don't bite. They don't bite. So you never even stop. But I mean, it could have bit years before that. We just never stopped on them. It took a tough year where the fish weren't biting that well. The guys started stopping on these bluefin schools, start picking away at them, and here we are. Fish have gotten bigger and bigger. I would suspect we'd catch a lot more 400-pounders this year.
That would be nice. That would be
Yes.
very nice. And I'm sure you're going to be right on top of those too.
Let me in.
Yeah.
Let me in.
Oh yeah. Well, let's kind of talk about that there. I know, certain times of the year, I know, some boats are really doing scheduling, at least, opening up their schedules to March, maybe even February, just to go look and go and search for those bluefin. It seems to me almost the different type of, or different, the different times of the year kind of really determine the biting of the bluefin, because normally springtime, bluefin, yellowtail, even in the summer and late summer. And then once you hit August, September, typically that's when all the yellowfin and even in some cases the dorado happen and all that. Are you probably seeing the same thing that I'm seeing?
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. The bluefin never left. And like you see, you get that warm water current up and the water starts warming up. We start seeing a better mix of that yellowtail, that yellowfin tuna, the dorado. Every year we're catching the dorado a little bit earlier. We see that yellowfin move up, and all it's doing is giving us more of a chance to catch different varieties of fish. But there was some bigger fish caught down there outside Colonnette early last year, and it moved up there close to the islands, then sort of backtracked a little bit, and then it came up across the border, did the same thing, backtracked a little bit. Then it looked like it was gone for a week. It disappeared after the stuff went up by Catalina. And, this stuff's gone. We didn't find it for a week. All of a sudden it popped right back there on the butterfly, back in, just same thing it did the year before. So it's what you see. The summertime you're catching the summer grade fish, and that bluefin's still in the mix. And then it just gives it more variety. You saw what the 3/4 day boats it did this year. So
yeah, for sure. And it seems like this year more than ever, I swear I've been on so many trips to go out to the Tanner and the Cortez banks this year. It seemed like it kind of just sat there, stayed put there.
I think we only fished Mexico. I could be mistaken, but I think we only fished Mexico like 4 or 5 times this whole year, or this whole season. We were up above the border or outside the border or at the island, because that's where our groups wanted to fish. So that's just the way it is. And their 3/4 day boats are right down there below the border. Yellowfin got up close to the islands and stuff. That was the Dorado were in the mix. So, I mean, the fishing the last 4 or 5 years, nobody can complain about. This is as good as it gets.
Isn't that crazy? Only fishing Mexico maybe handful times a year. Other than that, you're going west or even you're going north too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Brian's chiming in. He says it's gonna get crazy when Rambo puts on his white t-shirt. It's gonna get bloody.
I always, when we have a slow day, I put on a brand new clean white t-shirt. So it's like washing your car and you want it to rain. It's the same thing. Works out well too.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Anna has a question. She wants to know, so are the bluefin now the new albacore?
They are right now. That's for sure. They have been for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They are the new albacore. The thing is now is the fish are just the size of the fish. I mean, the opportunity that Southern California sport fishing has brought to the people of a chance that every time you go out, you have a possibility of catching a 1 to 300 pound fish. And it's not just by chance. Everybody on the boat has a chance to catch one. It's the opportunity has never been better.
Absolutely. Edie says Rambo always fishes hard and burns fuel if we have to. Absolutely.
That's it. Got to go where you got to go.
Yep. Mark Byram's chiming in. He says Rambo definitely doesn't mind burning fuel.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Elizabeth has a funny quote. Rambo quote, "Stop smiling and get your bait in the water."
That's right. You're not on the love boat.
Yeah. That's exactly what Aaron just said as well. Mark also says no princess showers.
That's right. We don't have no princess showers. Get in and get out.
Blake also says Captain doesn't go down with the ship. I've heard you say that plenty of times.
That's right. That guy was an idiot.
Andrew has a question. So would you say a 3-day trip at the end of April would be a big bluefin trip?
This year, yeah, I would say a bluefin, yellowtail type fish. You got that springtime yellowtail up there at the island. Could be on the kelps already, getting on the kelps already. But there's a good chance of that bigger bluefin. Absolutely. A 3-day. Absolutely. Especially with what those guys have seen already. Just the last 2 long range boats. The XL got in this morning. They saw the same thing. So
Very cool. Angela wants to know if you could pick any fish and any rig, what would it be?
any fish in any rig?
Yeah, I guess she wants to know what's your favorite kind of fishing and what would you use to fish with?
Ooh. Boy, I like it all. I think I gotta say fishing that wahoo fishing down below. Even that wahoo we caught up here a lot, 3 or 4 years ago. That was some fun fishing. But that wahoo fishing, it's hard to beat. It is really hard to beat. Fishing it with 40-pound, 50-pound, small wire leader. Oh yeah, that's excitement to the max.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was either 2015 or 2016 or something when we actually had wahoo right off the point here. And
Yeah,
I mean, that's almost once in a lifetime thing.
with the Edie's group, I think we stopped. We were just down below the island, and we slid on a kelp. Everybody threw their baits on and just went ping, 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 ping. Uh-oh. We got all the way back around. It cut everybody's line. Everything. Everybody got a bite. Everybody came out like they didn't know what happened. Everybody ran. We ran away from the kelp. Everybody tied on wire leaders. We went around. I think we hung 10 or 12 fish and we got 8 or 9 right on the kelp of all them good grade 40-pound wahoo.
Oh my gosh.
That was right below Sanctimony Island.
Oh, that's unreal. That is unreal. I cannot believe that.
It was awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, kind of speaking about wahoo and going into the long range fishery and all that, you're a busy man, my friend. I know, if you're not running the Cortez between June and September, what else are you doing throughout the year?
I usually go over there on the Royal. Usually do one trip towards the end of the year, but this year we did not. I took off the first trip, which is Taka's trip this year. My kids wanted me home for my 65th birthday, so I decided to stay home. And then we'll be doing, I think, the last trip or the last two trips this year. The boat's in for 28 days right now because of this COVID thing. We lost the two whale trips, but usually in the wintertime, I'm over there on the Royal for the most part. This year, like I said, we're helping out with the maintenance over there and helping out Aliar with the Supreme over there at our landing and then doing the maintenance on our boat. So we're staying out of trouble and staying busy.
Hey, busy's good. Busy's good,
Yep.
especially nowadays.
No, absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. So, you kind of mentioned about, Aliyar with the Supreme, him being the new owner there. I've noticed over, the last couple of years that I've known you, I mean, everyone, obviously, but just within social media and everything like that, you've got really great relationships. Almost you've kind of built your own little camaraderie amongst not only the San Diego boats, but the Orange County boats and all the way up north there.
I think I've been around long enough that I respect what every man does with their boat and stuff like that. And one thing about competition, it breeds good business. And everybody has their own little way of doing things. And if you can pick out the best of what you got and apply it, no matter what kind of fishing you're doing, you can be fishing the beach, half day fishing, all the way up to long range fishing. You grab it all and apply it to your operation, and every operation gets better and better and better, and the fishing gets better for the customers, all the customers, up and down the coast. If everybody takes that attitude and everything, then heck, this fleet has no way to go but up. And every year it seems like that's the way it's been going.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I know, I think you're pretty good friends with Jeff over on the Thunderbird and
Absolutely.
Andrew over on the Pacifica, all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, no, and everybody at Seaforth, we all help each other out. If anybody needs any help or whatever, you know, you do what you got. If you got the tool, you got the part, or even if you got the knowledge, you just go out and help a guy out. And we're a good little family over there too, or what's a big family now. I remember we only had 5 boats, and now we're old. The dock's full there.
Yeah, it's filled to the brim with boats, but that's really, really good, good news for Seaforth too.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Brian has a question. What will the fleet say when you lead our group of 10 on our early June 2.5 day charter to a limit of bluefin cows? We're ready, Rambo.
No, I know it. Keep coming, Brian. Keep coming. Well, hopefully, a lot of the fleets are going to be running and everything, but we'll just go off do our own little sideshow like we always do.
Oh, absolutely. Todd says, knows everyone. Heck, I went on a dinner cruise in the bay and the whole crew knew Uncle Jimmy.
That's scary. I've had a lot of crew members that are running boats now, and they're you know they've gone up or they've moved on to tugboats and stuff like that. But that's only because I haven't been around a long. That's all. Been around a long time.
You're selling yourself short, my friend, for sure. With obviously just in the last handful of years and, even beyond, we've seen a huge success rate when it comes to tackle, when it comes to upgrading with the technology and all that. Tackle nowadays much different from even a couple of years ago, wouldn't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every one of these long range boats used to carry skiffs with them. So when they hook some of them big cows and stuff down below, and you just drop the passenger off with a crew member and a couple of backpacks, they see you later, have fun fishing that fish. Nowadays with the Spectra, the reels, the rods, now you never even and people don't even get off the boat. You wind them things right to the boat. The rod manufacturers have stepped it up in every class as far as being able to longer rods, casting jigs, casting sardines. And, you know, you're probably 20 years ago, we were using these short 5-foot rods, 6-foot rods along to land these big cows. Now, you know, we're using 6-foot, 7-foot rods, and they're meant because they got a, you know, good back taper on them and stuff, and they just lift these fish right out of the water. And the reel manufacturers, they've really stepped it up. You know, we actually have 2 speeds now. They're heck the size of what we used to fish calico bass with. You know, and they're 2 speeds, and they improvement every year. And what's good about it is because a lot of these tackle manufacturers, they actually come on the boat now. They don't just guess what these people want. They come on the boat and say, this ain't going to work. Let's try something else. And we're getting a lot of feedback from them. They give us, you know, reels and stuff. Try this out, see if it works. So the equipment and the reels, the line is probably the biggest of all of it. That's made the biggest difference.
Yeah, yeah, well said. I mean, with just with the technology, even line spectra. I mean, you can get a couple hundred yards of spectra on a single reel, or even more than that, and not have any worry in the world that you're going to get spooled, which is awesome.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Even those little 40 wides, you know, they carry 400 yards of spectra I've got 400 yards of 100-pound spectra on them. And then you get, I don't know how many yards on our 50 wide 2 speeds that we have for our kite reels. I mean, it just goes for miles. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, speaking of gear, I know, you know, typical springtime, because we're coming up on the springtime here. On your 2.5 day charter with Brian, what are you going to bring? What kind of setups and what should we all bring?
We're bringing 20, 25 and 30-pound rig. We're going to bring a 50-pound rig, an 80-pound rig, and something with 100-pound or better. We're fishing that bigger bluefin. I tell the guys, in the daytime, you might have to go down to 80-pound or 100-pound. But at nighttime, I don't want you fishing nothing less than 130. Nighttime, you got to use the heaviest gear you can handle, you know, especially using these flat balls and fishing this, you know, sinker rigs. Nighttime, use the heaviest gear you got. The daytime, you might have to break it down a little bit, you know, come down a little bit. But those are the 4 basic ones. You know, you want that 25, 30-pound rig. You want a 40, 50-pound rig. You want an 80-pound rig. You want a 100-pound rig. Those will be the 4 go-tos. And if everybody brought that, you'd be all set.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that totally makes sense, because you kind of want everything for each class, just in case, you know, if the fish, you always want to move, you can always move down. You can't really go back up.
That's right.
And yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I know last couple of years we've been using a lot of the frozen flyers, the yummy
Right.
flyers, and even the fresh flyers.
Sure.
What's your opinion on that?
Well, the fresh flyers, now that we've got it down to where we can put fresh flyers in the bait tank, as long as there's no bait in it, so we got an empty tank, I can put live flyers in there and put the screen down on it. And as long as they're not sucking air, they'll stay alive. You know, but the fresh dead, we can just throw on the ice. They seem to work very, very well. But the frozen ones have been working just as well. You know, we get later in the season when the flyers move off the island and you can't catch them anymore, then you start using the frozen flyers. They work. Excuse me. They work just as fine. You know, the yummy flyers, they weren't biting them things that well this year or last year. The year before, you couldn't get them things off them things. You know,
Yeah.
they want that yummy big time. And then they come out with that new flyer. The guys are putting those out on a kite and they skipping them on the way from the boat. And those have been working well also.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It seems like, you know, almost every single year there's always a new either rendition of the flyer or anything like that, to where, you know, it's always the new best thing. I know the yummy flyer was really what you needed. Then it was the frozen flyer, then it's the fresh flyer. Who knows what's going to happen this year. But I think we might be in the wrong business. We might be needing to go in the flyer business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the commercial guys, the fishing game has come up with a thing. You can't catch your own flyers anymore. You have to have a commercial license, commercial crew. That's the only way you can net them things. As far as the live flyers. So they busted a couple of the yachts over there this year. But there's a debate going on with that right now, whether or not they are bait fish or they're considered a game fish. So we'll see how that clears up.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to stay tuned for that one.
Absolutely.
Robert has a question. Did I miss it? Where did the Rambo nickname come from?
Can't tell you. No, that's from a long, long time ago. A long time ago. We weren't. Well, we just did things differently. That's all.
Oh my gosh, that's well said. Well said. Rambo, with what you mentioned that you do mainly day and a halves, 2.5s, even 3.5s. Do you have a favorite kind of trip that you want to go on, or like, do you have a favorite, or I guess most ideal for either the Big Bluefin, or have any suggestions with? I know your charter schedule is getting really busy, but for those of us considering booking with you, what's your suggestion on that?
I cater the trips to the group, whatever the group wants to do. There's some groups that have been on some of these bluefin things, and they said, "No, it's not really our game. We want to go down and catch, some yellowtail, some yellowfin, or some dorado." And it's okay. That's what we'll go do. There's other groups that say they've been on it and they like both ends of it. And they say, "How about can we go down and do this one day and then go up there and do that there?" If the fish aren't too far apart, hey, it's not. I've made 120-mile moves at night. It doesn't bother me. If that's what they want to do. If it's feasible and possible, that's what we'll do. So I don't have a favorite day and a half, 2.5, 3.5 day trip as far as, specifically for one thing. I want to do and make my clients that come out with us, what do you want to do? I will try to, they're going on my boat and they're expecting me to put them on to catch fish. And that's what I expect of myself. So I want them, tell me what you want. This will try to satisfy it. I'm not just, hey, I don't care if you want to go catch little ones, we're going to catch big ones. That's not what I'm about. I'm about my customers coming back the next year, the next year, the next year.
It's all about customer service. It really goes to show how well you treat your customers and your crew, for that matter, as well.
Hey, well, we don't do any advertising. It's all word of mouth, and I'll take it just the way it is right now.
That's great. That's great. Speaking of charters, my dad's chiming in. Rambo is old school. Love it. He says hello.
How you doing, Emilio? We're here. I sent out the contracts yesterday.
Oh man. Mike Marsh is chiming in. He says, what does a trip cost for a charter?
Well, our day and a halves are usually like 7,500 for food included. This year, of course, it was only limited to 16 people. We can sleep up to 23, but most of the groups are 16 to 18 people anyways, for the most part. Our 2.5 day trips be 10,000, and our 3 day trips could be 12,500. And those are limited to 10 people on our 3.5 day trips. So, but this COVID thing's going to hopefully disappear out of all of our lives shortly. So hopefully everybody can get back into normal mode.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you kind of just mentioned 3.5 days, only 10 people on I think a 65-foot boat. Is there any reason behind that, the limited loads there, just for more people to spread out?
Yeah, more people to spread out and be more comfortable, No, that's pretty much it. I got a couple guys that take 2 3-day trips or 3.5 day trips, and that's what and we fished them with 10 and 11 people, and they all love it. This is perfect. So bait wise, fishing wise, because half of them can be up fishing at night, the other half can rest, and they we work together, say, okay, everybody's up because they're biting, so it works out well.
Excellent. My dad wants to know, what was your best trip you've ever had?
Ooh. We found a kelp patty about 107 or 8 miles southwest of San Diego. It had a red flag on it. It belonged to one of the long range boats, and they lost it for like 2 weeks. They never found it. And we were running down there, and we saw this, what we thought was a red sailboat. We could barely see it. We didn't have stabilized glasses back then. We just had our 750s. We thought it was a red sailboat. We're going to go down there and check this thing out. It was out there in the middle of nowhere. There was a kelp. We never got within a half a mile of that kelp. And it was straight big eye, yellowfin, and yellowtail. And by the time we had drifted for 9.5 hours, our fish hold holds 9 ton was full. It was on the first day of a 2.5 day trip. So we turned around and came home. But that was one stop shopping, and we never got next to that kelp.
You can't ask for anything better than that.
No, but I tracked that kelp. I went, even Scotty and Haas were working. They just said, we got to stop. It's done. So I tracked the kelp for the next 2 hours while the guys were getting the fish down in the fish hole, getting everything cold. And I watched which way it was going. And we went down there 3 days later and found that same kelp. And it was pretty much the same kind of fishing. It was good big eye in the mix, that 50, 60 pound big eye. The yellowfin was that 30, 40 pound yellowfin. The yellowtail was all 15 pounders.
Is that up here towards San Diego, or is that down south?
No. It was only 106 miles to southwest of San Diego. It was just down below the dumper and the 483 500.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. JJ wants to know, how do you feel about bananas? LOL.
No bananas. We proved it again this year too. We have them on the Royal, and it doesn't seem to affect anything. But it's brutal. It is brutal. We got some good funny stories about bananas.
I can only imagine. Mike's asking, do you think the big eye will make an appearance again?
Yes. I just don't think we're fishing for them. What's happened a lot is down in Central America and stuff is they put out a lot of fad buoys. All the Central American countries, even the South American countries, they got a lot of fad buoys out there. Well, the fad buoys attract the smaller, the bait fish, and it's the whole life cycle. But what they're finding out now is that it's a lot of it is big eye down there because it's real deep and stuff, and they've taken out a lot of the big eye resource as far as I hear in the Eastern Pacific.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, Rambo, we're creeping up to an hour here, but springtime's coming on, and what do you got going on for the spring before your first charter?
We're going to continue a little bit of boat work and everything. I'm going to take a week off and try to go to the mountains or something and get some mountain time, fishing time in. Maybe go out to see my brother-in-law out in Florida. He's my electronics guru. So we're going to go out and make a little collection present type meeting out there. But pretty much take care of everything around here and get ready for this year. The season's shaping up good, so we're pretty stoked and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, as we all are. Another question coming in from my dad. What's the biggest fish you have ever caught?
We had a 700, I think it was 750, 760 pound blue marlin there in the dumper. We brought it up to where we could gaff it, but we cut it loose because there was no place to put it. The eye on that thing was the size of a dinner plate. That's the biggest fish that boat has ever been on that we've ever caught. And it was rough.
Oh my goodness. That's unreal. Aaron says, thanks. Good to see you, Rambo.
Got it, Aaron. Looking forward to seeing you this year, buddy.
Awesome. Well, man, this has really been fun. I've certainly had a blast. Tell us one more time, how do we get to go fish with you on the Cortez? Hey,
you can give me a call anytime. It's my personal number. It's my business number is 619-203-2965. Or you can always go through Seaforth, which is 619-224-3383. And like I said, I'm not a big guy on social media. I don't post everything we catch and everything, but I try to keep that down to a low roar. Plus, I'm not very good at it, so I'm learning. Be patient.
Oh, I mean, honestly, seeing all your stuff on Instagram and Facebook, you're doing pretty good. That's for sure. But
Appreciate
awesome.
that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rambo, it's been a fun afternoon. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Really, really appreciate it.
You got it. Hello, everybody. Let's have some good fishing this year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much, Jim. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.
You got. Bye bye.